Have you ever kept coming back to something that left you worse off each time? Picture the pattern: a text at 2 a.m., an apology that sounds the same, a promise that never changes anything. Yet you answered the call. Today, we're asking a question that feels impossible to admit. Why do we chase what hurts us? Over the next several minutes, we'll peel back biology, psychology, culture, and the little choices that lock us into cycles. By the end, you'll understand not just why it happens, but how to start choosing differently. First up, what your brain is doing when pain starts to look like a reward.
Imagine your brain as an old-school slot machine. Every unpredictable reward lights up a little part of your brain called the dopamine system. That unpredictability, not the intensity of pleasure, keeps you pulling the lever. Scientists call it intermittent reinforcement. When rewards show up sometimes and not others, they become irresistible. This is the same mechanism that fuels gambling, binge scrolling, and returning to toxic relationships. It explains why you might forgive the same mistake over and over. But wiring is only part of the story. Next, let's talk about the stories you tell yourself to make sense of that wiring.
If you've tried to leave, you know the mixture of grief, shame, and fierce longing that follows. Leaving triggers mourning for the future you imagined and withdrawal from the chemicals you were used to. Shame complicates recovery because it keeps us isolated. People often return not because they love the person more, but because the pain of separation feels unbearable. Recognizing this as an expected stage helps normalize those feelings and opens the door to concrete steps that make a difference. You don't need one heroic act to transform a pattern. Tiny, consistent moves add up. Start with practical boundaries: silence that enables contact, clear limits on behavior, or a technology break to reduce temptation. Build new habits that create healthy reward pathways: exercise, creative work, supportive friendships, therapy. Replace dramatic narratives with factual journaling. List incidents without interpretation. And bring people in. A trusted friend, a coach, or a therapist turns private struggle into shared strategy. These small, repeated changes reshape brain chemistry and identity. Imagine months from now waking up and realizing you chose differently. Calmer, kinder, stronger. Rewiring takes time, but it's possible because the brain is plastic and people are resilient. Summarize: intermittent reward and trauma bonding make pain feel like love. Stories, identity, and culture reinforce it. Biology and social pressure make it hard to leave. But tiny actions, community, and new narratives change the trajectory. If you're watching this and recognize yourself, start with one small step today. Reach out, write it down, or set a boundary. Change isn't instant, but it's real, and it starts now. Have you ever rewritten the past to make someone look better in your memory? We're storytellers by nature, and those stories shape decisions. When a partner hurts you, you might tell a story where their love is complicated but real, which keeps hope alive. Cognitive biases like confirmation bias and optimism bias help construct narratives where pain is temporary and love is inevitable. Those stories can be comforting, but they also trap us. So where do these scripts come from? Often from what we learned as children. Close your eyes and picture home. For many, home wasn't a safe, steady refuge, but a place of chaos, inconsistency, or neglect. Familiar patterns, even unhealthy ones, feel normal because they're predictable. The result? We sometimes choose familiar pain over unfamiliar safety. If your emotional baseline is stormy, a calm relationship can feel oddly empty or suspicious. This preference for the known pushes us into repeating patterns, but fear of the unknown has another weapon in its arsenal. Which sounds scarier, staying with something broken or stepping into the wide unknown? Loss aversion means we fear giving up what we have more than we crave what we might gain. Leaving can feel like jumping off a cliff with no safety net, and our brains will do everything to avoid that terror, even if staying costs us more in the long run. That fear ties directly into identity. Sometimes the pain becomes part of who we think we are.
How much of your identity is tied to your relationships? Some people define themselves as the fixer, the loyal one, or the one who forgives. When self-worth is measured by endurance or sacrifice, hurting relationships become badges of honor. Self-sabotage and martyrdom are ways of proving our value, twisted logic that keeps us stuck. Breaking that pattern means redefining who you are apart from the drama. But first, we need to understand how culture makes drama look desirable. Think of your favorite movie or song. How many romanticize pain? From tragic love stories to songs that equate passion with suffering, culture sells the idea that love must be intense to be real. That romantic lens makes hurt feel meaningful. If it hurts a lot, it must mean something. Social media amplifies this by spotlighting dramatic narratives and editing out the slow work of growth. Once drama is glamorized, it's easy to mistake chaos for depth. But dramatized pain also has a darker medical cousin, trauma bonding. Imagine being rescued from danger and then punished and then rescued again. That cyclical pattern of harm and kindness creates a bond that's shockingly hard to break. Trauma bonding happens because the brief moments of relief after abuse look like proof that the person cares, even when the pattern repeats. Physiologically, stress hormones and reward chemicals keep revving together, confusing the brain into attachment. Understanding this pattern is a crucial step toward getting free, especially when social pressures make leaving even harder. In many communities, staying is the expected choice for family honor, for appearances, or because leaving isn't financially or socially supported. People whisper about divorce. Friends offer well-meaning but unhelpful advice. And sometimes there are real threats. The cost of walking away can feel insurmountable. These external forces lock people into cycles of hurt, making personal courage a social act as much as an individual one. Yet there's also a physiological pull that mimics addiction. Beyond emotional loops, relationships can create literal addiction pathways. Sex, touch, conflict, and reconciliation all release chemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, adrenaline, that condition us to seek the same patterns. When stress is paired with affection, the body starts craving the whole package, even the stress pieces. That's why it can feel as hard to leave a partner as to break a substance habit. Knowing that your body is wired for this gives us practical leverage. We can rewire by changing both behavior and environment.